Happy New Year's Eve day here in Maryland. I'm, of course, Callie Francois alongside Tim Tulloch this morning. Tim, we had a nice day of racing yesterday.
We had a really nice day of racing, a big handle, so thanks to all the fans that came out to join us. We had 6 stakes. We're going to talk about those later. Track had a little bit of a speed going for it yesterday. I think that trend will continue today with all the moisture that's in the air and the temperature.
Absolutely. Speaking of moisture in the air, let's take a look at the track right now. Just taking a look, little foggy out there, but that will be clearing up a little bit later down the line. Remember, this is 11:30. It's still early for us. First post time is at 12:25, and that's hopefully going to clear up in a bit. But we get a nice warm day. We had that blast of winter coolness about a week and a half ago, and now we're getting a little bit of reprieve from that. So everything that comes with it. And starting with our early pick 5, a nice industry low takeout with that. Let's carry on to this maiden claiming 12.5, a mile and 16th here on the dirt. Tim, you have the number 8 on top, Fire at Midnight, who is current morning line favorite but 4-1 right now for Amy Hall.
Yeah, this is my price play of the day. This one's stretching to 2 turns for the first time in her career. She run around the ground going that 1-turn mile, but that's a tougher race. She comes out of a decent race where she ran 5th. She only got to be 4 lengths that particular day. She shouldn't get as outrun going mile 16th this afternoon. She come with a little bit of run. I think she can get it done.
Underneath, and I have on top Secret Sanctuary for Bob Glaceris gets J-Ron Barbosa. J-Ron Barbosa on a near trend of getting this meet title, but he starts it off in a good spot in this race with Bob Glaceris just getting 2nd and 3rd in these last couple of races.
Well, certainly improved effort since getting down to this maiden 10 effort. Expect him to run pretty much the same as he has been. Going to have to deal with that outside draw a little bit going to mile 16th this afternoon. But Barbosa, who's riding very, very well. I mean, he was a leading rider and whatnot, but he's still riding very, very well and riding a lot smarter.
That is 8-10-9-2 for Tim Tulloch. I go 10-2-7-1. That starts the early pick 5 in race number 1. And race number 2 starts the early pick 4. Tim, you've got a ticket lined up. How do you play it?
I do. $24 ticket to start the day on the early pick 4. Keep in mind, everybody, everything's got to go today. This isn't a carryover, but carryover's got to go. So it's a total mandatory payout on all the pick 6. And super high 5s and whatnot that we have carryovers for. However, let's go. $24, 146 in race 2. The 1 is my top pick in that heat. Race number 3, I spread here in this maiden 32-year-old filly event. I use the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 10. Race 4, I use the 5 and the 7, the 5 Shackelford County, and the 7 Dancer's Melody for Kieran McGee. And in race 5, I use the 8 and the 10. That's a big field there, but I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to use the 8 and the 10 in race number 5. $24 ticket for the early pick 4.
Let's see if you can hit that early pick 4. In this claiming 16 never win 3 event, going a mile and 16th on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. Let's take a look at your top selection right now. We've got a video on Speak Unity for Jamie Ness, Jaime Rodriguez having a nice day yesterday.
Yeah, this was a really, really big race. This is from December 16th. The track was muddy. Speak Unity, this is going a mile. Speak Unity went right to the front, and you're going to see a horse that just gets game. Game is Dick Tracy, as they like to say, down there on the fence. Maybe not the best place to be, but just keeps on getting it. He gets beat, but it's not because he's not trying. And this is what you get. He gets beat 3/4 of a length for the whole thing after making all the fractions all the way around there. This is a 5-time winner. He's taking advantage of this condition one more time this year. He's a 3-year-old who's won 5 times. His drops down today. His races lately have been really good against tougher with consistent figures. He draws the fence. You know where he's going. He's going right to the front, going a mile and a 16th. I think he takes them all the way.
Doing all the hard work up front early on, and a tight finish last time out, as you saw from that video spotlight that Tim provided us. A Speak Unity is your proper 8-5. I go for the 4, Delise Vita, who you go with underneath for Dale Capuano. Again, Dale Capuano's last day of racing as a trainer today gets John Avella, who had a win 2 days ago. Excuse me.
This is a 4-time winner taking advantage of the condition one more time, but he's a 2-time winner over course and distance here at Laurel Park. mark. His figures hold up well in this spot, so he's certainly a contender, and we know the mile and 16th here at Laurel is not a problem for him.
And Lord Mio, who we both have underneath, is taking you have to just go with him because he's taking the drop.
He's taking the drop. He's getting Xavier Perez, this new rider to this horse. And he has shown the ability to run some nice races as he did off that layoff when he fired that big lifetime 80. Now, he's never probably ever going to run back to that in his career. However, he is good enough to run in those mid-60s. I've got to give him one more shot before I just jump off his bandwagon.
Absolutely. I go the same. That's my same type of thinking on Lord Mio that you have. Tim Tulloch 1462 in at the start of the early pick 4, and I go 4163. Race number 3 is a maiden claiming 30 for the fillies, going 6 furlongs on the dirt, scratching the 1 Lavisa and scratching the 8 Lady Dancer. So Tim, that lands you on the number 5 Divisibility, who I have underneath.
Well, I had I'm almost glad Lavisa scratched, because when I went back and looked at this race, I thought I liked Divisibility a little bit better. But you pick, you stick, and that's what I did. When the one came out, there I am. I have Divisibility on top. This is second time for Ness. We know they get better when they're in his barn. First time for Jamie. That was a big effort over the slop up there at Philly. He has yet to run a bad race, and this horse just keeps showing up. I think more improvement this afternoon, second time with Jamie.
Let's talk about Love Notion underneath for Damon Deal-Devico, a nice price of 5-1. Damon Deal-Devico with the second time starters has been doing so well as of late.
Well, this filly ran a pretty nice debut race where she was just pretty even, going 5.5. She was outrun 3.5 at the beginning, outrun 3 and 2 3/4 at the end. She's going to get an extra half a furlong this afternoon. She's had a decent work since that last race, and Damon's horse is pretty good when they're making their second start of their career.
Absolutely, he's 7 for 13 as of lately, specifically with those second time starters, and of course I go with her on top just because I like the outside post. But you land on Ellie Victorina underneath for Brittany Russell. Gets JVN Toledo today, who had 4 winners.
Yeah, this is a good outside draw, I think, for Ellie Victorina. She's comes from a little bit off the pace. She's going to be on the outside. She can keep a clean trip and still come with a little bit of run under JVN Toledo. I think there's going to be flow for her to run into. Our last 2 races have been pretty decent at this level, the second and a third.
How about Little Spinner underneath for the 25% meat barn of Annette Eubanks with J-Ron Barbosa on top? It was a nice effort first time out, Tim.
It was, and another winner for Annette Eubanks in the nightcap last night. Look, not bad in debut, not bad at all. Got a little late, but now she has the race up underneath her, and that may be enough to improve and carry her speed a little bit farther. Plus, it might change a little bit going 3/4 as opposed to 5.5, but she's got speed to deal with down to her inside with Divisibility.
A nice competitive maiden claiming 30 for these girls in the third race. But before we kick into the fourth race, it is the last day of the year. We have mandatory payouts going on, especially in that Rainbow Pick 6. If we could get that board up, guys. Just everything is happening today, Tim.
Yeah, everything's happening today. A little bit of a carryover in the Rainbow Pick 6, $8,000, but the maximum wager has been lifted, so you can bet more than 20 cents on the Rainbow Pick 6. A little bit of a carryover in the Super High 5, which gets started in race 1. So, yeah, someone's going to go home with some money today.
Get a piece of it.
Get a piece of it. So let's take a look at your Rainbow Pick 6.
Yeah, we do have a carryover, as you saw, of the 8,600. But let's take a look at my Rainbow Pick 6. I start off with a couple of these scratches in the 4. I just go with 2 in that first one. You also include Shackleford County as well in your early Pick 4, Tim. Race number 5 is where I go on my single. But if you're willing to spend a little bit more money, maybe go a little bit wider in that 5th race, that claiming 10,000 for the Phillies. 1 turn mile on the dirt, I think, is going to change things up big time as far as the play in a couple of these different players, and we'll get into that in a little bit for race number 5. But race number 6, 7, and 8, that is in the starter optional in the 6th, in the allowance optional in the 62.5 in the 7th, and then of course in the 8th race of the day, the allowance optional claiming 40. Those are all pretty competitive, especially that 8th race. That's a loaded card, but we both end up landing on the same horse. And then in race number 9, our nightcap of the day, our last race of 2022, the Claiming 10,000. I go too deep with Poet in My Heart being my top selection, a $38.40 ticket to kick off the Rainbow Pick 6 with those mandatory payouts. Remember, Tim mentioned there's no maximum, there's no minimum. Do whatever you can, whenever you can, but that starts in race number 4 in this Claiming 5,000 event for the fillies and mares 3 years old and up, 6 furlongs on the dirt. And we've got some scratches in here, some decent enough scratches in the 1 Polished Gal, the 4 Bahama Pearl, and the number 6 Soupster. Leaves you with the number 5, and I have this one underneath, Shackelford County for Claudio Gonzalez. Gets Yomar Ortiz today.
Yeah, my top pick, Soupster, did scratch out of this race, so I end up on Shackelford County. This is third off of break today, and back to a level where she's already won 3 different times this year. She's won at Monmouth, twice at this $5,000 level, and then she won 2 back right here at Laurel at this $5,000 level. She's ultra consistent when she's around this type of company. So this is where I end up in the start of the Rainbow Pick 6.
Dancer's Melody, you also have underneath for Kieran McGee, gets Carol Cedeno. They had a win earlier, Thursday, but these two keep up at a pretty good 21% clip as of lately.
It's all about the break. It's all about the break. You've heard me say this 135,000 times. It's all about the break, and it's all about the break today with Dancer's Melody. Last time out, she got away pretty well, but she was still bumped around a little bit. She was very, very good. She runs second. She gets a nice short comment there, game. But the 2 races before, where she didn't get away, she does have that win at Delaware where she was able to grind it away and get up. But it's all about the break. If she gets away from the outside, gets herself in good position, she certainly has a shot.
You also go with the number 2 on top. I have underneath. I have on top. I take another stab at the other Kieran McGee horse, who will probably be the speed of that race, Tim.
Yeah, look, 8-time winner, good effort when getting down to this level for the first time in a long time in her most recent race. So if she can come back with that race under Barbosa, it certainly makes her a player.
Tim Tulloch, 5728. I go 2578 for the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. Remember, mandatory payouts. We have just a tick over $8,000 pool in that Rainbow Pick 6, so get in on some action on that starting in race number 4. Race number 5 is a Claiming 10,000, which have never won 3 going. The 1-turn mile here at Laurel Park for the fillies and mares, 3 years old and up. We flip-flop a little bit. You go 8 with the 8 on top, S. Barana. This one is for Rudy Sanchez. Solomon gets J. Ron Barbosa.
Gets Barbosa once again today, already a winner over course and distance at this level, 2 races back, going the 1-turn mile with a decent figure for this group, 58. I know Red Queen on paper looks like the one to beat, and she probably is at the end of the day. But I'm going to take a little shot here with Rudy Sanchez Solomon. You look further back on her form this past June, good race going 7/8 of a mile against Tougher, and maybe getting back, I think, to where she kind of belongs, this $10,000 level.
Exactly. I think once she is, and it's as soon as she gets to the level where she needs to be, is where she does really shine. So I do like that pickup that you have from her. And of course, you have her underneath. I have her on top, Red Queen from Mario Saray Jr., Grant Whitaker. Those two got a stakes win yesterday with swaying to and fro. Let's see if they can win with another girl here on Saturday.
Well, look, she's back to a level of the claim of the day that she was claimed, back down to this 10,000. She won that day, won again for 10,000 2 starts later, going 7/8 of a mile. Got late going a mile and 1/8 in her most recent start, but that's going to happen.
Right.
Turning back to the mile today, she has strong figures, solid buyer speed figures for this group, and she's probably the one to beat. Dangerous, no doubt about it.
Why not? You also go with Pliant Leah for Jamie Ness and gets Jaime Rodriguez. This one is just kind of getting up there, kind of scratching the surface a little bit, and like the off going yesterday, but gets back to a bit of a fast track today.
Yeah, 4th off a break today for Ness, and returns. The turn races have been all right. They haven't been great. This one's just kind of working her way back to better races. But she does have a good race here at Laurel Park. And that was this past July. It was over a muddy track, but she did run a 63 by her speed figure. She ran second. She only got beat 3/4 of a length. If she can come back to that race back here at Laurel, where she's had some limited success, it might work.
I take a stab also at the number 7, if then underneath for Hammy Smith, and why not? But Tim Tulloch goes 8-10-5-2. I go 10-7-8-5. And we'll be right back to talk about the rest of the card here on the last day of 2022. Welcome back, and we're going to talk about the rest of our card here. Starting in race number 6 in the starter optional claiming, 6 furlongs on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. And Tim, we have a scratch in the number 2 Swing West and the number 10 Brilliant Chase. That leaves you with the number 5 on top. Cozy's Wildcat, a nice price of 8-1. This one is second after the claim for Anthony Ferrier, gets Carlos Lopez.
Yeah, 8-1 on the morning line. This is a 4-time winner this year. She got bumped around at the break in her most recent start, but she still ran a very positive race. Her 4 races before that, all really good races. In fact, you can't find a bad race. You have to go all the way back to May to find a bad race for Cozy's Wildcat. If she runs back to those numbers she was running between September and November, that's going to be good enough for her here. She gets away well. She's going to be very, very competitive all the way around there. And as you mentioned, gets Carlos Lopez.
The Girls Love Me, who you have underneath in the 4. This is a smart claim by Cap. So first time in the Cap barn, a really nice effort. Third off of the layoff last time out.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. No doubt about it. As you mentioned, first time off the claim for Dale Cap. 4th off the break today, came back running, and she's capable. And you look down her form, she's capable of running some really big races. She's run in the mid-80s, low 80s before that layoff, that long layoff from February 2021 to October of 2022. But she came back running, got a little class relief in her most recent start. Cap reaches in, takes her, has to step her up a little bit. But look, you know how this goes. 18% first time off the claim for Dale. And we know he's dangerous with these types. She could be really tough this afternoon.
Let's take a look at the video that we have on Quick Tempo. This one for Crystal Pickett, this is just first off the claim by Crystal Pickett, but when Kieran had this horse, he had this horse rolling pretty well.
Right, very well. In fact, this race on October 15th, right here at Laurel Park, he ran a 91 Beyer speed figure that day. That was a really, really big race for him. That's a funny kind of number, but a 91. But he's capable of running those numbers. You look down his form, you're going to see races like that all the way up and down his form, going all the way back to the end of 2021. But he has speed from the outside. You know how much I like that.
Right.
Cruz is going to be able to get away from there. You know Cozy Wildcat is going to be part of it. Maybe a couple others that want to be a little bit a part of it. But so I like this one on the outside. Even in his most recent race when he was claimed for 8,000, big race, 85 Beyer speed figure, gets the win. So, yeah, this one could be tough if he can hold form for the new connections.
A bit to offer in race number 6, but we'll go ahead to race number 7, that allowance optional claiming 62.5, going the 6 furlongs on the dirt for the 2-year-olds. Tim, let's take a look right away at John Hall, your top selection for Brittany Russell, and with Tyler Connor in the saddle today.
Yeah, this was a nice race from John Hall. He broke pretty sharp, and he was up in there. And we're going to look at the video, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the video. There we go. He broke pretty sharp, and he tried to hang up in there. And Fergal just said, you know what? I'm not going to try to run with these guys. Let me see if I can come with some run. He ran very professionally all the way down the backstretch. He was taking some dirt. Fergal asks him here, and it's all over but the picture, because John Hall just keeps on driving on down to the wire, stays true and straight like he's done it 100 times before. But I thought this was a pretty professional, impressive race from John Hall. This will be his second time for Brittany. We know she excels with those, along with the first-time starters. A couple of works since then. I think there's a lot to like first against winners for John Hall.
Absolutely. As you said, really professional run last time out. If you watched that whole, I ended up watching the whole race, and especially with how far back he was, really impressed with what I saw as a turn of foot down the top of the stretch to outfinish the other. You also have Lost Weekend underneath for Dale Capuano, gets Carlos Lopez, his only rider thus far, but worried that he might be in a bit of a need the lead type.
Maybe not. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to give this one another chance here. Clearly disappointing as a favorite in his most recent, coming out of the first dash in the Maryland Million Nursery, where he ran pretty well. But he was really wide in his last start. He was fanned 6-7 wide into the stretch. I think there's a better racehorse there, draws down toward the inside today. I expect better from Lost Weekend this afternoon. Clearly capable. I mean, ran a 79 Beyer speed figure up there at Delaware. Came back with a 67 in the Maryland Million Nursery. So the races are there. Maybe he's getting to the front. Why not? There's some speed down toward the inside, but he'll be well placed, no sure.
What about Feelin' Woozy for Hammy Smith underneath with Angel Cruz? One going to the lead, had a bit of a rough go on the off track in the Maryland Juvenile, so was under just kind of crumbled a little bit under that pressure. But if you go three back, that's a nice key race to talk about.
Well, look, there's a lot. I mean, Feeling Woozy's going to be feeling better when he walks in the paddock and he doesn't see post time. Johnny Z's from Albany, Coffee with Chris, or Prince of Jericho. He's going to be feeling pretty good. These guys aren't around. Okay, I got a shot here, and I think he does. I agree with you. Every race is a key race. Prince of Jericho wins, comes back and wins. Feeling Woozy comes back and wins. Circling the Drain comes back and wins, and of course, Coffee with Chris would come back and win yesterday behind post time Johnny Z's from Albany. So yeah, there's a better race there. Throw that race out. I'm going to blame it on the mud. Comes back with a good race on a fast racetrack this afternoon. Two of those races one of those races very close, could get it done.
That's a fun allowance optional claiming. Race number 8 is an allowance optional claiming 40, which is I think is highly competitive for this mile and the 16th on the dirt event for the 3 years old and up. Scratch the 1-8, Ben and Joe, and scratch the 2 gigging. But we still both land on the number 7, Tim, at 5-2, 110. Let's take a look at this Corrales trainee.
Yeah, this horse is in really, really good form now. This race was going a mile from November 14th. He's way out there, and he just draws off like a good thing. This was coming off an 8-length win in the race before on October 30th. This was over a fast racetrack here at Laurel. Now we're going to go to the 2 turns this afternoon. Comes back in his next race after this big win here. Comes back in the Bender 7/8 state bred race. He runs second. Big race, 89 Beyer speed figure, lifetime best. He runs behind, always in a hurry, who would come back and win again. That was a good-looking race there. We'll see if he can do it over the 2 turns this afternoon. He doesn't really draw that far outside anymore with the 3 scratches down toward the inside of him, but it really probably wouldn't have mattered too much. He kind of just gallops around there and comes with some finish. He's going to be tough if he can hold his form over 2 turns.
I really like how Dennis Arujo has grown to progressed to get a lot of performance out of this horse. So whether it's 2 turns, whether it's 1 turn, he understands what makes this horse tick, and so that's another angle that I think is really good. But that was a really nice performance that we saw. We both have the 3 underneath Nautilus for Jamie Ness, gets Jaime Rodriguez. It comes from an optional claiming numbers of 2 at Penn, but still, this horse is competitive no matter where he goes, Tim.
He is, and he's a winner, like you mentioned. He won that race at Penn National at this level. But keep in mind, this horse just missed 2 back here at Laurel and ran a lifetime best going the mile on the 16th, that 84 Beyer speed figure. He'd run 2 84s in a row. So this horse is in pretty good form, winner over course and distance. And really, I've got this little comment here, really at the end of the day, could be the one to beat here,
right?
It's a very, very competitive race, but don't count this one out for sure.
I know we both have the same picks in this race, but this race is pretty darn competitive. You could go a couple wider in this race, but Dixie Drawl, you have to include Dixie Drawl because he's just always knocking at the door, but you can't quite trust him to win as of late.
Well, no, but he is a 9-time winner. He's stretching back out to the stretches back out off that 7/8 mile race in his most recent start, which wasn't a bad start. He's been running well, but not winning, as you mentioned. However, in that span, his 2 best races have been here at Laurel and up there at Pimlico, both going a mile and a 16th. Those were his 2 best races on the figures over this amount of time where he's been not getting, and then he's got a big 91 there too, going a mile and 16th. So his 3 best races on his current form are going a mile and 16th at Pimlico and here at Laurel. So this could be the day, but he's going to be part of it.
What about the flashy Guillaume? For the other Jamie Ness runner, gets Javian Toledo, just took it by the lead. It was gritty, and it was a gritty lead last time out, but you're looking at the starter optional from Parks on the mud. How's this horse going to take to the fast track today? He's 11 for 3. He's okay on it, but what's your take? I feel like this one's a little bit of a dark horse.
Could be 9-2 on the line, getting Toledo this afternoon. You go back to Delaware, September 9th. That was over a fast racetrack. Ran a big race that day. It was claiming 20. That was the day that Jamie claimed him. But has a steady improvement. I mean, you just look at the form from before the horse was claimed to after the horse was claimed. Numbers are improving. The results are improving. Has not been off the board yet for Jamie. He's got that win his most recent start. So. Yeah, I like this horse a little bit today, and he could be on the outside looking in because this is a tough heat, but nothing surprises me anymore.
Absolutely. As you said, tough heat there in our 8th race here. But let's go ahead to our nightcap of the day. Last race of 2022. This is the claiming 10,000 for the fillies, 3 years old and up, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. We both land on Poet in My Heart for Lacey Gaudet. Thais Laipusina finally gets a nice win last time out.
Yeah, I mean, this was first against winners this afternoon, but that was a pretty good look in maiden score for that 12.5, going 7/8 of a mile over the good track. Turns back to 3/4 of a mile today, but that number, if she can run back to that number, it's going to work here.
You also go with Bella Patina underneath, cutting back in distance yet again for Katie Voss, gets Javian Toledo.
I think that's the key. Just getting back to sprinting at this low level, 2 back, okay. Broke her maiden for maiden 20, and for the 2 lifetime 10. Broke her maiden with a good figure 55. Good figure for this group.
We both include Polish Cookie underneath a merger of equals. I also throw in Days Remembered on the rail. Any specifics you want to talk about in this race, Tim?
Well, Polish Cookie, if she can get back to that
Right.
form, that midsummer form, she's got a shot here. Maybe she took a step in the right direction in her most recent start.
That was an eyebrow-raising performance last time out. We'll see if she can maybe perhaps repeat that again. But that's going to be our chat for these races that we have for our New Year's Eve day. Let's talk about a little bit of what happened yesterday and what's to come. Well, as we said, there was a lot going on. We're taking a look at the stakes action that happened yesterday. Talk about with Coffee with Chris, a $35.60 winner for John Salzman Jr.
Yeah, Coffee with Chris went right to the front and just really took care of business. With this wasn't first time blinkers, but we looked at it afterward, coming out of the post-time race, coming out of Johnny Z's Albany, been running with some good company. Now we go to Malibu Moonshine. Malibu Moonshine I thought was beat right here, but here she comes up the fence again. She's as game as game comes. As game as Wonder Woman. Let's call her Wonder Woman right here, right up the fence.
You said it.
Under Angel Cruz. Got the job done. First time on a fast track in her career. She is now 3 for 3.
Swaying to and fro, just really made things nice for herself. Looked really super strong, and she's a bit more of a solid filly than I thought, Tim.
Oh, look, this is her second time in a row where she just handled her field. She did it in her previous race, which was a stake. She just did it there again under very little encouragement from Grant Whitaker.
What about Factor It In? Oh, my gosh, what a performance yesterday. This horse, ever since getting a break, has just really given Carlos Mencia so much.
Yeah, this horse was pretty good before the break, but he's even better now. Went to the front, never saw that happening, took them gate to wire in very, very good form. Factor It In. That was a big effort.
Malibu Beauty finally gets back into that, what we saw at Delaware. She gets some resurges back. Really, really nice performance for Gary Cow.
Well, we're seeing the racetrack, how it played yesterday in a few of these races. Malibu Beauty gets right to the front from the fence. The horse to her outside didn't get away. Right to her outside didn't get away the best. She gets the lead. She just keeps on chugging.
Well, and it was also a bit of an emotional one, but we also look at Nimitz class in the Robert T. Manfuso Stakes. Look at that game effort by a bunch of these guys.
A really, really game effort from Nimitz class under Javian Toledo, which gave him his 4th winner of the day. Congratulations to Javian. This was a good-looking effort on a racetrack that really wasn't playing into his hands. And Javian said afterwards, I was a little worried because we're going a little slow, but was able to get the job done.
A bunch of locals that came through for us here in Maryland and come through with a little bit of prices as well. So that was some nice stakes action. And as Tim mentioned, thank you so much for supporting us here yesterday. And we have some more fun to continue for you here today to wrap up 2022. But let's take a look at what's going on. Angel Cruz not far behind J-Ron Barbosa, and they're both in plenty of races today, Tim.
They're both in plenty of races today and tomorrow. We'll see how this one shakes out, but it could get interesting as we get down to the wire in the jockey race.
Absolutely, and then Brittany Russell, of course, taking command here. I mean, Jamie Ness isn't enough, so she's set up to get this last meet title here of 2022.
Yeah, she's in a position where she just simply can't get caught, and is this going to be her third title in a row, I believe?
It is, and on top of that, I was just checking in with another stat guy that we have behind the scenes, and so it's between her and Claudio Gonzalez for the whole year as far as wins in Maryland. So Claudio, I believe, has 3 entered here. Brittany Russell also, as we discussed, has horses entered here. So she has a chance for getting the whole kit and caboodle for 2022.
Oh, that would be exciting for Brittany and the whole racing community for sure.
Absolutely, making history as the first woman to do that. But that doesn't affect her too much. Just a solid, working woman with her solid, hard-working team throughout. Let's reflect back a little bit on 2022. As a personal standpoint, Tim, do you have any top moments from 2022?
And I wish I'd had Phil bring up the video because I just thought it was brilliant. My top moment of the year was Severe. December 17th,
Yeah.
25th lifetime win against a good big group of starter allowance horses. Had to work for it. I mean, had to work hard for it to get the job done. What a gritty win. That was special. Severe's 25th win for me.
Maybe we can bring it up on tomorrow's lightning rounds, but
There
just a gift for you. It was earlier in the year. It was back in January and maybe February perhaps, but Cordmaker getting General George cutting back in distance. I'm just a huge fan of that horse, and now that he's back on the upswing a little bit, but it was I love watching that horse run, and it was so nice to see him win and get a graded stakes.
Yeah, it was a big day. I went back to the barn afterward.
Yeah.
Mrs. Charles was there, congratulated him. It was a lot of fun.
Huge wins for huge connections, and let's keep it rolling for the last day of the year. Let's go to Dave Rodman for changes and scratches.